Well, it is Black Friday, and we pulled. Hi, sweetheart. We pulled off to go to the Meadows today. Now, for those of you that have been to the Meadows and pulled off that highway, you know it's what, about a half mile to the track. Now, on your way from the highway to the track, you turn right to go up the hill onto the outlet malls, the Tanger outlet malls, or whatever they're called. Well, the traffic to get into those malls was backed up. A quarter of a mile all the way to the highway almost. So there had to be thousands and thousands of people there. So as the races went on, my wife would literally have a stroke. Amy would have a stroke if she just saw the people lined up to go shopping. She doesn't like the big mall crowds, but I like Christmas crowds. I love Christmas crowds. And my girls, they don't mind Christmas crowds either. So I said to them, you know, by the time we finish racing at the Meadows, I'm sure some of this congestion will have cleared out, right? And there were still hundreds of people there at 6 o'clock at night when we went. So 6 hours later, for 6 hours and 20 minutes later, is when we got up to the hill. And there was a parking spot, and there were still hundreds of people there. We got a little shopping done. Not going to say what we bought because it could impact some people that watch this video. But we did get some shopping done. A decent day. I wasn't really impressed with the way the day ended. I just got done watching Resolute Bay. Now, the takeaway for me, because I'm an optimistic... Addie Bear, shush. The takeaway for me, because I'm an optimistic person, is James knows you can't move that horse in the last turn. So if he moved him getting into the turn, he must have felt good. And Resolute Bay cannot be moved in. And he knows that, but the fact that he knew that and still moved him means that the horse must be feeling good. And 55-4 doesn't seem like a very strong mile, but I don't know how the track is playing. I don't know what the weather's like in Ontario. So I'm just going to leave it as, he's rounding into shape, and James thought enough of him to move him tonight, because it would be nothing for James just to stay along the rail and drive me crazy. So he gave the horse a shot tonight. He was beat, 3/4 of a length for second and third. I think he raced okay. I would like to see him win. I wish I had more optimism about the results of the race, but how the race ended, I think at least made me feel okay. I didn't love the way that either Yo Mister or Walter's Keepsake race. Now, I haven't talked to Stacy, so I certainly no reflection on them. Yo Mister has been tremendous all year long. Adeline, Yo Mister has been tremendous all year long. All year long. It's just been a great horse for us since we bought him. But that was in January, I believe. Maybe February. It's getting near the end of the year. He looked a little rougher in the turns tonight than I remember him. Now, one of our clients said exactly what I would think. I will disagree, but in a way agreed. They said, well, rather than having to race in the open, maybe just give him a rest. Well, here's the thing. He's always going to have to race in the open. He's a high-level conditioned horse. He is going to have to find his way to the open, or we're going to have to price him at some point. And I don't think we're even remotely in the area of having that conversation. Somebody had made reference to a couple of horses we sold in comparison to Yo Mister, and I can assure you there is no comparison between them. So, Yo Mister, I was unhappy, but I could see what was going on. A little more rough. We've all seen him. A little rickety in the turns, a little rough in the turns, but a little more labored tonight. Now, again, I have not talked to Stacy, so maybe he has a quarter crack that's bothering him or something come out of his foot. But I would say after the race that I saw tonight, I would have to agree with Joel, who sent the email, and just say, hey, why don't we rest him for 4 or 5 weeks and bring him back? He's already proven he's a quality animal. Let's help him out. And I think that's kind of where I am. Now, again, that's my preliminary report, and it means as much as maybe yours does, which is very little, because none of us actually know the horse. Stacy knows the horse. So Stacy would be the one to make that decision. In reference to Walter's Keepsake, I don't really know what to say about Walter's Keepsake. Again, I know that he had that big quarter crack and sand crack that busted out of his foot last week. So I can't imagine they had him trained up tight, but gapped off the gate, gapped off the race, and then finished up in the same zip code. But not really a factor in any way. I have to ask, and again, I'll defer to Stacy and Brett on this. Is he good enough to be in Dayton? If not, do we need to bring him back and work on him, or is it just that he was short because they couldn't do a whole lot of work with that foot abscess. It wasn't an abscess, it was a sand crack. It's hard to explain. It's on the bottom of his foot and ran up from the bottom of his foot, and it ran up the inside at the back of his bulb. So a sand crack, quarter crack, either way it bled the last time he raced. So there's going to have to be some work. I'm certain they have a bar shoe on the horse now. So did that play a role? I can't comment on that. So I'm just going to defer to Stacy. Is he good enough to race there? Obviously, I can't imagine anybody was happy with his race tonight. Where do we go with that race? What does that race mean for us, mean for Walter's Keepsake, and where do we go next? So that is an important takeaway also. So he had Resolute Bay, kind of ho-hum mile, but not a very good trip, and it wasn't James's fault. Welcome to Mohawk. Came first over from 5th down the backstretch. No cover. No movers. So, ended up first over into exactly where Resolute Bay hates to be, and I don't blame James. In fact, I appreciate the fact that he moved him, because that'd be a totally different conversation if I said, well, he's 5th getting into the last turn, didn't bother moving him. He was 8th coming out of the last turn, but he finished up strong. No, I'd rather him try the horse. He was 4th, beat a length for 2nd, I think, and 3/4 of a length for 3rd. I don't think he raced horrible, but I do expect more from that horse moving forward. But he is getting back in the swing of things lots of time. That's the one good thing about quality animals, is they have we'll talk about that with a couple of horses today that I raced here at the Meadows. But when they slide a bit, you're like, oh man, what's wrong with that horse? But they do come back around, because they are good horses. They're winners. So Resolute Bay will bounce back, and I wasn't disappointed today. That was my take on his race. Walter's Keepsake, a lot of question marks there, and only Stacy can answer them. And again, with Yo Mister, kind of a short leash situation. I think he's probably okay to rest, but I do want to hear what Stacy. Hi, sweetheart. But I do want to hear what Stacy has to say about him. So those were the 3 that raced outside of the Meadows. We had 7 race at the Meadows. Now, a lot to talk about today. A decent day, I can tell you unequivocally and quite honestly, those were not the 2 that I thought I would win with today. A lot of question marks swirling around. Absolute Euphoria, got a perfect trip. We'll talk about her in a minute. And then JK Mickey Mantle. We actually sold JK Mickey Mantle and worked out an agreement before the race. He would change hands after the race. We split the purse. Seemed like a fair deal. There's going to be people say, oh, he won in 52. Well, that's a giveaway. Did he? If they're going to run a half in 54 seconds in front of him and go a mile in 52 and walk on the front end, he will do that every single time. Had I moved him at the quarter, no bueno. Had they gone a half in 56 a mile in 52, different scenario, I think. That is, any horse with any salt at all to them will win that trip. Get away in the 2-hole, 26.54, and the horse stops in front of you? Yeah, that's how horses win races. So, and take nothing away from JK Mickey Mantle, but it is important now to understand he now does not fit the Nominers of 6. He now has to race up in the Nominers at 8,500. I'm okay with the sale of JK Mickey Mantle today. I can assure you of that. So JK Mickey Mantle raced good. He ended up the day, so I guess we'll start there and work our way back, since we are talking about him. I was very happy with the way he got out of the gate. He has not been getting out of the gate very well. So we had him pointed towards the front end. I knew we probably wouldn't get there. The 9-horse was bet down from way outside. Jeremy Inhofe was not going to give up the front, but I did want to get into that 2-hole. He had to work to get there. We ended up in the 2-hole, and the horse raced good. So he departs on a winning note, and I'm happy for the new owners. Good luck with the horse. I think he's a nice horse, but for the stable, for us, don't really want to race those mid-condition horses. And the guy right before him is exactly why. Atlas Hanover paces, 51-3 today, and gets absolutely smashed, finishing 4th. I just don't like the fact that we can't control who we're racing against. And that might sound greedy, but it's not. And the numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I kind of know who we're in against every week. Or the names may change, but the horses are the same. Whereas you get horses, you look at a horse like Patrick de Piranha got beaten in the numbers of 12. We'll talk about him in a minute. But how would you like to be a horse moving up into the numbers of 12, pick up the sheet and see Patrick de Piranha? And he didn't even win the race. So what does that say about the mid-condition horses? Nice to have a fast horse that can win in 51 or pace 51, unless they finish 4th in a class going, 8,000 or 9,000. not what we're going to do our work. We're going to keep when Patrick DePerona slides and he's down in the 12,000. That is a totally different situation than when Atlas Hanover finds his way in there. Night and day. We're not talking apples and oranges. We're talking apples and hand grenades. Two totally different things. So as you can see, as we get Atlas Hanover and some nice miles back on him over the next 3-4 weeks, he too will likely be moving on to greener pastures. So J.K. Mickey Mantle, happy with the win, happy with the sale. Atlas Hanover, I thought the horse raced as good as he could. 51 on a cool day. It was snowing earlier on. A cool day in the Meadows. It was a good mile today. And a pretty stiff headwind down the backstretch. I thought it was a good mile today and a good race by Atlas Hanover. And I'm not taking anything away from him. Just I think now you guys are starting to realize what I'm talking about when it's 1 through 7 and top-end horses. That middle, that's a tough place to race and not really a place I want to race for the most part unless I have to. So no disrespect to J.K. Mickey Mantle or Atlas Hanover. They both raced good today. J.K. Mickey Mantle is now moving to a new barn, and Atlas Hanover, quite frankly, likely not far behind him. We can get him racing 3 or 4 more real good lines for somebody to jump in. That's the type of horse they want to race. Well, that's your horse. Horse that can leave, follow, pace 51, 52. Pretty decent horse. We got one for you coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So that was J.K. Mickey Mantle and Atlas Hanover. I wasn't surprised with Absolute Euphoria's win. I was surprised with her defeat last week. I thought she raced good, but last week kind of got pinned in, and I was mad because I had that opportunity to move her down the backstretch. But I went to come to the outside. I had room for a split second, and as I'm starting out of the hole, it just felt like she was starting to sit on me. Right? She was starting to drop the bit, and it just felt to me like backpedaling was imminent, and I just felt like I was going to retreat while I could and get back in the hole. And then Dave Palone got out and won the race. I had room to charge at them down the lane, and she really felt kind of flat, to be honest. So today, I did not... Baby girl. I didn't know how... You want to show everybody your pink hat that you got? Whoa! I didn't know how the race would go today. I knew that the favorites were the 3 and the 4. The 4's on the run behind the gate. So now I just want to leave fast enough to get the 3 down in front of me, maybe stretch him a little bit, and make sure nobody else keeps coming. So the 6 horse is going out of there. I just go as fast as the 3 to the turn. No faster. Just want to go as fast as him. I don't want to induce him to back up in behind me. I don't want the front. I want to follow Aaron, and I don't want Jeremy to keep trucking. So as soon as I know that Jeremy's getting in the 3 hole, everything is good. Cut Aaron loose to the front and follow him. At no point in the mile did I ever think I was going to get beat, but I think she should have won a little easier, quite frankly. I don't mean to sound arrogant, but when I moved her through the middle, she should have shot through. Now, Tim had called me this morning and said, hey, they need the fillies and mares, numbers of 2, but not more than 4, never fills. But it's filling, and they're looking for a horse. What about Absolute Euphoria? I said, well, she's got the rail today. I'm not going to rough her up. Yeah, go ahead. So she's probably going to be bet down pretty low on Wednesday. I suspect she'll do well. Win, lose, or draw, I think we will probably turn her out because it's a quality filly, and even if she wins that class on Wednesday, she still fits it when she comes back. I don't want to race her until she's tired and then have to race in a super tough class when she comes back. I'd like to leave a little bit left there for her for when we do bring her back in. But I do believe that Wednesday will be her last start of 2023. I think she's earned it. She's coming up on $85,000 or something. $80,000 maybe made this year. A mark of 51. Quality filly. Stacy, again, all the work. Tim's crew did a great job with her this week, but Stacy and Brett are the ones that had her all year long. And before them, Dominic Gladue is the one that set her up for that transition to Scioto. So a great job across the board. Tim right now, Stacy and Brett all summer, and Dominic to start it all off in Ontario. Great job across the board with this filly. So Absolute Euphoria raced good. I can honestly say, I'm shocked to say it, but the only horse that raced bad today was Spitfire Overseas. Did not bleed. I would have bet you probably if push came to shove, any one of my 10 fingers that he bled today. He did not. Mucus was found. 4 out of 10 for Mucus. So I still don't get this. That's 2 out of 5. I'm trying to teach her fractions. 4 out of 10, that's what the bet's going to come with. That's 2 out of 5. In case we're doing right. 4 out of 10 for Mucus. I was wondering, we're going to draw blood work on him. I'm wondering what that looks like because he was flat today. Didn't almost run. Tim had him good. He did his coffin joints. He did some work on him. He came out of the gate good. Yeah, they went a fast mile in front of him, but if he's a strong second, we're not talking in this tone right now. He was a poor 6th. Very rare for him. So the only horse that raced poorly today at the Meadows that I can honestly say is Spitfire Overseas, and that's very unlike him. And I'm going to give the horse a wide berth. Am I going to complain about it? No, because that's not Spitfire Overseas. You're not going to have to worry about him. There doesn't appear to be any reason. The Mucus, yeah, there could be enough of a reason there. Maybe that he wasn't as good. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I was very happy to hear that he didn't bleed because in the next race, I'm coming on the track. I'm like, geez, now I'm going to have to put this horse back on Lasix. I know it's colder now, so there's no heat. There's no worry of him washing out from the heat and AFibing, flipping again. We could probably put him on Lasix, I guess. I'm thinking all this, and then Tim says, no, he didn't bleed. That was shocking to me, but we'll work on him. We'll work on Spitfire for sure. It's just a bad race. They're going to have them once in a while. And, that leads to the next 3 horses. 2 of them, very important. Patrick the Piranha, I told everybody, when you're not on your game and you're pacing in 53, not a bad thing. Patrick the Piranha, I could tell in the post-spray, and I told Tim, I knew that Tim had trained him this week, and you have to train them up sometimes. But you can tell, and I'll tell you why, because Patrick the Piranha can root and throw his head real bad all the time, but when he's doing it very aggressively and angrily, he usually ends up with and it's not the chicken and the egg. The result of maybe him doing this during the week, warming up to train, he gets a little ulcer on his palate, and then he gets angry. And you can actually feel him angry in the post. He's rooting his head real bad, and he just seems agitated. And when he's like that, there's a thin line. He can be really sharp in doing it, and you can see the difference in his body language. But when he's angry doing it, 9 times out of 10, I know him well enough now. If you scope him, he ends up that you find out he has a little ulcer on his palate. I'm sure he does. I knew he wasn't good coming out of the gate, and that's why I waited so long to move him. If I forget who it was in front of me. Aaron, maybe? No. Chris Lenz, maybe? Might have been Chris. Whoever came first over, if they didn't move, I wasn't coming. I just wasn't coming with him. He just didn't feel good to me today. And I knew here you got the favorite up front, still the horse to beat. Horse in the 2 holes, no slouch. I wasn't coming. Ended up second over in a perfect spot. There's the same trip that he's won with before. Climbing over the horse in front. I know Patrick the Piranha, he just is not on his game right now. But still good. Just not razor sharp. And I said to Tim, don't worry about training him. I can run him up the wood. Remember when we brought him to the Meadows? I ran him up the wood, right up the inside his first start. Then Chris Lems did. Then Brady Brown did. Now we won with him. Yes, sweetheart? I'm using it, but just in 1 second, okay? But you have to get him on his toes, get him on his toes, get him on his toes, and then Patrick the Piranha, my sweetheart, and then Patrick the Piranha comes to life. But it's a process. You can't, I said to Tim, he's not good right now, but don't worry about it. He can't be good all the time. And before everybody says, does he need a rest? That is not the be-all that ends all. Running him out to the field to bring him back and train him back and race him again is not always the best thing. It isn't just, must be tired, get him out to the field. That's not it. Sometimes horses are just in a funk, right? And I'm going to race him right up to the winner because I don't think he's a real winner horse anyway, to be honest. The horse raced in Australia. So we're going to continue to race Patrick, but we're going to be very conservative with him. And he will, trust me and mark my words when I tell you this, he will come back to life. He's maybe 90% right now. 100% sound. Just 90% on his game right now. But he'll come back around. Think if Galaxies was good today, that Blue Ivy filly, if she's really good and takes me to head of lane, I'm probably a winner today. I was so happy with the way she's behaved. Another filly that's not as sharp as she was 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. But they can't stay good forever. And I have tell people that. And I know it's hard to explain, right? Because the analytical people are like, well, it could be this, it could be that. Well, if you look at her start to last year, every horse is different. Every week is different. These are living, breathing animals. You can look at the analytics of all the horses year over year over year, but it doesn't matter because you don't know if ours, she's on Lasix now. Is she tired? Has she raced a lot? She's outraced what she did last year. Is that bothering her? Or what are we coming back for if we turn her out? If she come back, is she going to be a better horse? Is she going to be the horse she was 2 months ago? Here's my take on it. She was third in the Open today, beat 3/4 of a length by the best horses in the Meadows. Closing at the wire, felt strong from the head of lane to the wire. Why would I possibly have any interest in resting her right now? Zero. So before everybody says Patrick and Galaxies, maybe they need rest, I'll nip that in the bud right now. Neither of them are heading to the field anytime soon. Just so we're clear. This is the fall. This is when the classes are watered down. Now, if the open pace on the fillies and mares and the colts and geldings stops filling somewhat, that's a different ballgame. Now we're talking about something a little different. But if it's going to fill every week, right now, in Pennsylvania, Washington, Pennsylvania, both these horses are going to continue to go behind the gate. Are they both razor sharp? No. But they cannot be every start of the year. It is impossible. So, the last horse, who was the first horse, is Sliver of Fashion. I could tell, we did scope him after. There was a little bit of blood there. He's a bleeder. We're working on getting that cleaned up. But being off 10 days, Tim had to train him. And I could tell when Tim said, geez, he trained great. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of tough to train this guy. But I thought he raced well. I couldn't get the earplugs out of him. It didn't matter. I watched the race kind of angry, thinking to myself, I'd have been able to pull the earplugs. I'm second, but I'm not. If I had to get the earplugs out, you would have just saw pretty white earplugs pull out of his ears, and he would have finished fourth. So it didn't really cost us anything. I thought he raced very good. I like this horse. He's just a likable horse. I like his gait. I like the way you can leave, sit, follow. He never bothers anybody. He's just a likable horse. And I think he will be able to go with them. Get that bleeding dried up. Hold on, sweetheart, 1 second. Get his bleeding dried up. Get the horse comfortable, and he's sharp as attack right now, too. He literally likes to race, too. Everything about him is just a likable animal. So a Sliver of Fashion was fourth today, with reason, with cause, and something that we can work on moving forward. Addie, are we done singing, babe? We're here at the restaurant now, Eddie Bear. So I told the girls, we had a great day today. Didn't we have a great day?
Yeah.
A wonderful day. The girls came to the races with me. They watched all the races. They got their picture taken twice. We went shopping afterwards. And now we're going to have a nice meal at Firebirds in Cranberry. If you guys are ever around, if you're ever around like the Meadows or anything, and you're headed towards Ohio or headed back to Ontario, wherever you might be from, you have to go right by, almost. So you have to go by your exit to go to Ohio. But you have to come to Cranberry. Lots of nice restaurants here. This is where right beside Firebirds actually is where the Pittsburgh Penguins practice facility is. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, we're going to have a bite to eat and head home. We'll probably get home around 10:15 or so. But it has been a wonderful, wonderful Friday morning, afternoon, and night for Ava, Addie, and Daddy. Amy and Oliver had a great day together too. Amy was working her butt off at the barn, and then her and Oliver went and did some stuff, I believe, today. But lots of babies to train tomorrow.
One more question.
What's that, sweetheart?
Is Mom in Ontario?
No, they're in Ohio at the house right now.
74,915 words.
Oh, that's impressive. Good for you. Amy wrote 74,000 words. I will talk to everybody tomorrow. We'll have all the babies. Now, this is the time of year we're going to start pressing a little bit. I can announce it tomorrow. I'm going to announce it quickly today. It'll be officially announced this weekend. December the 10th will be our open house in Ohio at Northfield Park. I'm going to work in conjunction with Northfield Park and MGM to see if we can get a bunch of people out to the open house in the clubhouse at Northfield Park on December the 10th. Now, I can also say that my brother Mark it was funny, Scott Zeron is coming. Scotty is a cool guy, and obviously very lucky to be associated with him. Great driver on the track. He's done driving next week for 3 months. He told me he's done driving for 3 months. He's just taking the time off. He's not racing in the winter. So good for him. Be nice to be able to do that. But furthermore, he is going to fly to Ohio and train the babies with us on December the 10th and be at the open house. Mark, my brother, is also coming. He's going to do the No, Uncle James can't. There's a driving championship in London that day. So it's a little tricky because Curtis can't come. He's going to remotely produce the show. Mark McKelvey can't come. He's going to be doing the show in London that day, which is okay. I understand it. But we're going to... Who's that, honey? Lennon? Yeah. No, because Curtis can't come that day. So, we're going to have my brother Mark and Mike Carter. Michael Carter, many of you have heard him, an announcer at Northfield Park and a number of tracks from time to time. Great guy, knows the game inside and out. Very knowledgeable. It should be a fantastic day in that regard. Mark said, I'm happy to go with the babies, but I'd like to yeah, I'll get you a job. I'd like to commentate. And I said, well, that's perfect because Jason McGinnis had bought his girlfriend tickets to the Bengals game that day. So he can't be there, which is fine. It's not a big deal. So my brother Mark is going to do the commentary with Michael Carter. Scott Zeron will be there. Ronnie Wren is trying to get out of it, but I'm not going to let him. He's going to be there. Hunter Myers said he would come out. Aaron Merriman said he would come out also. And Chris Lems said he would come out. So it should be a fantastic day for the stable. Anyway, let's say back to Big Boat in here. We are getting ready to get some dinner. Me and the girls, little late supper, and then back to Macedonia. Tomorrow I'll be up nice and early. Got to go to the barn. We have a ton of babies. As I said, we're going to start drilling down on some of them now, making sure they're following nose to helmet, making sure they're starting to learn to move, stay on their gait, working with everybody. So now is when the real, I wouldn't say the training starts, but the polishing starts right now. So with that, I'll let you go. A good day at the office. I think the only checks we missed were Spitfire Overseas and Walter's Keepsake and Yo Mister. But a great day here.
Hi, everyone.
Nice hat.
Thank you.
It
actually matches my coat.
It actually matches your coat.
My hat matches my coat.
That's right. You do. You both look pretty sharp.
Yeah.
My hat matches yours.
That's pretty sharp. You're right. So a Sliver of Fashion raced good today. Think of Galaxies raced great. Patrick DeProna raced fine. He raced good. Spitfire was the only flat one at the Meadows today for us. He unfortunately did not get a check, but he'll bounce back next week. Absolute Euphoria was a winner. Congratulations to all my partners on her. Atlas Hanover was fourth. Kind of ho-hum fourth, but okay. J.K. Mickey Mantle goes out a winner from the stable. Yo Mister probably needs a little bit of a rest. Mickey was a winner, yeah. And Walter's Keepsake, we'll work on Walter. Don't worry, we'll get him back going properly. And Resolute Bay, a kind of flattish fourth, but that was the kind of trip. Again, my takeaway was that I was happy that James moved him, even though he knows first over is not that horse's forte in the last turn. He thought enough of him, felt he was sharp enough that he would get him going there. So, building from there. So that's the day in a nutshell for the stable. We had a great day. The girls and I, we went and raced horses. We went shopping. Now, we are going to have a little bite to eat. Take care. Say bye.
Bye, everyone.